Hello and welcome everyone to our fireside chat today on mastering audience targeting by eliminating invalid traffic. My name's Amma, I'm the partnerships lead here at PPC Protect, and with me today I've got two speakers. I have Mike Finn, who's the partnership manager over at Within, and also Pete Rawlinson, who's the CMO here at PPC Protect. How are we doing, chaps? You both well?
Very good, thank you.
All good. Great to see you guys.
Yeah, you too, Mike. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so a bit of housekeeping just before we get started. So we're going to try and keep this to 30 minutes max. We'll try our best to stay within that time. There are going to be some polls thrown in throughout, so just keep your eyes out for those, and it'd be great if you guys could get involved and just give us your opinion on those polls. And there will be a recording of this afterwards available as well, so it'll be a recording available on demand. So if you do miss anything, you want to go over anything again, then feel free to download it. Pete, I believe you are at home and there are some kids that could possibly make some just unexpected noise at any point, so I'll just warn everyone, if there's anything crazy that goes off, it's probably just Pete's house.
Fingers crossed we'll be okay. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. Good stuff. Okay, so just before I pass over to these two guys, I just want to run through just a few of the key takeaways really for today. The kind of purpose of the whole fireside chat. So we basically want you guys going away knowing, what happens when you work with cleaner ad traffic, how can you optimize audiences as well using cleaner traffic, also how to exclude this and unwanted traffic as well, and that's across all paid acquisition channels. Agencies, what can they do to kind of increase ROAS with cleaner data, optimize their campaigns for their clients, and also just how to get started today as well. So we'll try and cover off all those points, hopefully throughout the session here. Okay, right, I think that's enough from me. So Pete, I'm gonna start with you today, please. Obviously we're here to talk about, audience targeting and capabilities when you eliminate that invalid traffic. Can you kind of give us a background on what do we mean, or what do you guys mean by invalid traffic, and how do you know what is invalid and what's not as well?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mark. And Mike, thanks for joining us today. I always find it's really interesting when we do these fireside chats, and with marketing agencies, digital agencies like Within, because there seems to be this kind of I guess a misunderstanding about preventing invalid traffic and click fraud prevention, which is what PPC Protect does, in that it can save you money, right? And that's an obvious piece of value from preventing unwanted traffic from clicking on your paid acquisition channels, but it goes far deeper than that, and especially in the agency world, that I'm sure Mike can testify to, that the additional value opportunities that are available to an agency for their clients is significant when you're dealing with cleaner traffic to your ads. So yeah, on your question, we get asked this question a lot: is invalid traffic? When people think about invalid traffic, they typically think of bots. They think of kind of organized crime, right, and human fraud farms and stuff like that. And yeah, absolutely, there is a definite component of that constitutes invalid traffic. But when we talk about invalid traffic, we think about all of that, but we also think about, there are some good bots on the internet, right? Like the Google search indexer, sorry, is a bot that we kind of want, right? So it's not just saying automation is bad or bots are bad. It's going to be a lot more nuanced and sophisticated than that to identify what are those behavioral characteristics that constitute what we call non-human behavior or non-genuine human behavior, that is, in all likelihood, is not going to convert. So I've actually got on the next slide, because I kind of guess you're going to ask this, Amar. So this is some of the stats that we've gotten from our platform over the past 12 months. So in the year of 2021, we have about 1,000 clients globally of various sizes and various locations, different industries. And these are the numbers that we've collated over those 12 months. Obviously, as you can see, just for 1,000 companies, that's some pretty scary numbers there, right? And I think what I find is increasingly concerning is this increase in fraudulent and invalid activity over the years. You see a 13% increase last year. We're probably going to project about the same this year as well. So it's increasing, and it's increasing, I think, because the monetary kind of incentive for those that would perpetrate kind of fraud on the internet's increasing. I think COVID has had an impact with people going more online to buy things, therefore online advertising is increasing. We've seen a significant increase in the amount of invalid traffic to travel, hospitality sectors now that people are opening up. So there's a direct correlation there, kind of the bad guys will go where the money is. So as we go through this conversation and talk about invalid traffic, I just want to make sure we bear in mind that invalid traffic is not, and we'll go into this in a bit more detail later, is not just about traffic that is known good and known to convert, and also the traffic that's known bad will definitely not convert. There's a cohort of traffic which is just unknown, right? We don't really know whether it will convert. It doesn't show a high propensity to convert, so we typically discard it at the cost of doing business. That significantly impacts audience targeting, and the insights into that unknown traffic can really provide some visibility into how you can more accurately target your audience. So long-winded answer to your question there, Amar, but hopefully it's gotten us off to a start just by knowing what we're dealing with out there. You're on mute there, Amar.
Sorry about that. It's just me to do that. Had to happen at least once, though, didn't it? So Mike, so obviously, you guys at Within work with a lot of clients globally as well. And I know you've kind of been using Click Fraud solution for some of your paid acquisition channels as well. So especially over in search and display. What kind of benefits have you guys seen as a result of kind of excluding that traffic?
Yeah. So one of our biggest clients, a well-known fashion apparel footwear brand, has actually, this was one of our initial tests with PPC Protect. We ran it across 3 of their Google campaigns, and we were actually able to detect that about 10% of the total traffic, or around 3 million clicks coming through those campaigns, was in fact fraudulent activity, which means we're wasting like a ton of marketing money on impressions that were never actually seen by potential customers. So the way that actually affected like targeting for this brand specifically is by negating this traffic, we were able to save our client around $800,000 over that time period and increased our conversion rates to these campaigns by around 9%. So those are pretty significant figures. And more importantly, within that 9%, we saw an almost 35% jump specifically coming from our non-branded keyword campaign. So that's pretty significant for them as far as like a way we were bringing in traffic. If we're not optimizing around clean traffic, we're going to make a lot of mistakes as far as budget allocation, et cetera. On top of that, benefits we've seen like working with PPC Protect is the performance-based pricing structure kind of made it a no-brainer for us to move forward, as our savings we're getting through getting that cleaner traffic and getting rid of the fraudulent traffic greatly outweighed the costs. And Audience Service allowed this brand to reinvest that saved investment across those Google campaigns and maximize those returns and other targeting efforts. So we added an extra layer of protective to our campaigns against fraudulent activity, and we were able to present our client with reports on fraudulent clicks generated, IPs, blocks, breakdowns by the time, geo, et cetera, all which helped just make our client more efficient in their marketing efforts as a whole and their targeting efforts as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, they're staggering numbers really, aren't they? Did you say $800,000?
Yeah, and again, that's not a number to sneeze at. Definitely a good portion of budget. So hopefully, other brands can see similar results from working with you guys.
Yeah, I think the frightening thing as well that they just probably they just didn't realize, did they? It's just something they wouldn't have been aware of, and it's not a small number, that is it. It's a significant amount of money there. So. Yeah, I think those numbers that you showed, Pete, before on that previous slide, just they're easily reached, aren't they? So
yeah, and you know what? I mean, there is kind of a bit of an altruistic angle to this as well. Is that there are people making money from this, right? What are they doing with that money? Where's that money going to? It's going to some really bad places. So, as much as you can save money on ads, great, but there's kind of a bigger cause here as well, right? Let's not be funding those bad guys to continue being bad. Click fraud, I think it just surpassed the drug trade and the most lucrative source of revenue for organized crime, because there's virtually no risk associated with it. So, that's why we're here to kind of fight the bad guys, I guess.
Yeah. Not all heroes wear capes, eh?
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on now after that really bad joke from me. Okay, well, we've obviously looked at the ad spend, the kind of savings that can be had there, but coming back to you, Pete, what other benefits do you see from your clients from eliminated that traffic? Obviously we've got the ad spend is the obvious one. but what else can you kind of see as well?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's one that's especially interesting to digital agencies again, in terms of the value they can provide to the clients. So yeah, obviously you have the savings in ad spend, and we just talked about that kind of tactical savings. But if you think about what's actually happening here, right? You're getting an ad's being displayed to a non-genuine source. It's clicking on that ad, getting past that ad, and potentially going into the sales cycle of that brand. It's really difficult. The further down the sales cycle that bad click goes, the harder it becomes to identify it and to mitigate it. It becomes exponentially expensive, especially when a human being's involved. We talk about, a lot of our clients and prospects talk about, well, Google, they can detect invalid traffic, right, on their Google ads, and they can stop clicks from going through. Well, first of all, Google do detect a percentage. We don't think it's a big percentage, but a percentage of invalid traffic, but they do allow the click to go through, and you get a refund afterwards if you apply for it in triplicate. But the click's already gone through. With a solution like ours, or indeed many of the other click fraud prevention solutions, the ad isn't displayed in the first place. So all those downstream costs of mitigating a bad click are immediately eliminated. So that's a benefit, right? There's obviously any cost savings associated with clicks not being bought for. Doesn't just get, it's not just a money saving, right? It's a reinvestment back into those better performing campaigns that the brand or the agency is running on behalf of the brand. And I kind of look on this process as, it's kind of like a water filtration system, right? The more you go through this filtration system, the cleaner the water gets. So you are feeding better buying intent signals to the campaigns that the agency is running. And actually, as you do that, you're actually iterating closer and closer to your ICP. And that's got benefits for the client beyond just marketing efficiency, right? That's, sales targeting, customer support, all kinds of things. So, there's no doubt numbers that Mike's sharing there are pretty significant and not to be sneezed at, but there are so many other opportunities, especially when it comes to getting a better handle on how you target your audience based on filtered traffic. I don't know, Mike, if that makes sense to you.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah. So I suppose with thinking about the audience targeting specifically, Mike, obviously you guys, work on that all the time within agency. And how is this typically measured within your agency? And do you think, obviously, removing this invalid traffic can have a significant effect on that as well?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna retouch on some of Peter's points here. Enhancing audience targeting really comes down to collecting and segmenting your first-party data across all your marketing touch points, which PPC Protect helps with in the campaigns, channels, and the service where the service blocks some of that fraudulent traffic. Peter's point, just making that data a lot cleaner and a lot more usable within those marketing channels. Channel algorithms are going to target consumers based on that fraudulent data if you're not blocking it, which is going to weaken your targeting overall and put brands that rely on this targeting through these platforms at a disadvantage when they're evaluating their campaigns and in turn optimizing it. So when it comes to collecting that data, that's where PPC Protect really helps. It makes that data cleaner and more usable. But when it comes to segmenting data, what we do it within is typically we'll leverage a customer data platform, like a CDP, which is an effective way to take your first-party data and make it more useful to you through customer data integration, which combines information and identifiers from separate databases and makes it to more usable in a sharper, more analytical way. We partner with companies like Simon Data and Parity Segment when it comes to doing that, which has been helpful for a lot of our clients in increasing their way they're using their first-party data. But to touch on the part where you mentioned measurement, I mean, that's kind of been the name of the game right now since iOS 14 came out last April. Actually being able to measure your targeting strategies and prove out the incrementality is harder than ever with signal loss, the future depreciation of cookies. So what we used to do in the past is we actually just used to run in-platform incrementality tests, whether it be like in Facebook or Google, whatever channel it might be. But now we actually look to kind of partner with a lot of MTA, MMM type tools. So you have a more non-biased full picture view in conjunction with those in-platform incrementality testing options you have to once again, kind of just paint that full picture when it comes to measurement and attribution.
Very cool. Mike, sorry, Mike, can I just ask, I'm just curious, Mike, as you're talking about that, do you look at, in terms of kind of buying intent signals, do you look at those across multiple acquisition channels for your clients, in that, a typical consumer today doesn't just go to, to one particular, social channel or display network or something to, to educate themselves? Do you look for combinations of buying signals, and like maybe, I don't know, a cohort analysis to see what combinations of activities result in a conversion?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of one of Within's base pillars, is how we kind of look at that full attribution journey. Every consumer is going to take a handful of touch points. You want to make sure you're actually allocating, I guess, the reward for that attribution to the correct channels. So that's how you can be the most efficient and make sure you're actually growing your brand, is making sure you're giving credit where credit's due and investing in that upper funnel. So using those measurement tools to kind of prove that out and prove the value of those is one of the things like Within helps brands do. So I don't know if that answers your question fully, but hopefully gives you an idea of like kind of our approach to it.
It does, and we've taken a similar approach on the opposite side, right? We always kind of talk about, like, we're the guys that specialize in exclusion. So we're looking at this stuff that people don't want to be involved with, because we exclude that and get rid of it to clean things up. And we've seen, again, working closely with our agency partners, by doing that across multiple acquisition channels. So being able to provide this central analysis, you can take a look at kind of excluded signals, like kind of invalid behaviors on one particular platform being applied to another platform. So if we can see some pretty negative activity going on, let's say the Google search ads, we can apply that to Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Twitter, for example. But one of the benefit in terms of providing that centralized analysis is getting more insight as first-party data, which typically most companies don't get access to, right? The ad networks just don't show you that data. But being able to having access to that data and knowing what have these targets, what have these ICPs done to lead themselves to a point where they're ready for conversion is massively valuable. So part of the value that we can provide in doing that is not just to identify those things which you don't want, but what's left is the things that you really do want, right? So I think there's an opportunity there to add more value to what you guys do for the clients on the first-party data side. Yeah,
totally agree.
Cool. Sorry, Mark, I kind of derailed the questions there. Sorry.
That's all right. No worries. No, it's I suppose leads me on to one of my final questions, really. So this is one for both of you. Especially now, really, that we're kind of becoming, it's an increasingly privacy-aware world that we're living in. So, in your opinion, what do you think is the future of audience targeting now? And, I suppose, Pete, for you as well, do you think that PPC Protect can kind of contribute to this long term?
Mike, I'll let you go first. You guys, the experts at targeting, I'll let you go first. I'll follow that up.
Yeah, totally. So I have a few thoughts on this question, so I'll kind of go in order here. But first thought I have, as far as future, I'm anticipating an increased investment into channels like CTV and OTT, due to a lot of the services having access to a lot of first-party data already, which brands could then leverage through their ad management platforms if they don't have a lot of that first-party data already. Second part, I think contextual targeting is going to become a lot more important, as in be able to target your consumers based on their interests and what's most relevant to them. We've seen a lot of success doing this on platforms like Reddit, where there are communities built out discussing niche interests where you could be highly relevant with your advertising. And then third point, brands looking to just increase their addressable audience. So that means, visitors and consumers who have opted in to receive personalized advertising through lead gen efforts, promotion, etc. This is where I see PPC Protect playing a large part to just ensure that audience is legitimate and marketing dollars not being spent personalizing ads to bots or fraudulent traffic to those non-value consumers, kind of the PPC Protect box out as well. So kind of a three-part answer to that, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say, Peter.
Yeah, no, it's great. Thanks, Mike. A couple of things. I think I hit on it in my last response as well, in that by amassing this information about, in order to be able to protect against invalid traffic, we need to analyze that traffic in detail. So I know we look at about 120 different behavioral points, and it's always increasing because it's a constant game of leapfrog against, kind of the bad folks out there. So we've become experts at analyzing genuine human behavior on the internet. So feeding those genuine, behavioral indicators back into acquisition channels can only increase the effectiveness of of your conversion rates. But going back to privacy, there's a term being thrown around, zero-party data, which I think is really interesting. Right, as we move more now to a privacy-centric world, and we're very pro-privacy. In fact, our system has been built based on privacy, so we're totally kind of protected from that perspective. But what I think is, coming from like my perspective as a consumer, is that no, I don't want companies playing around with my data. But because my data is valuable, but if I know by giving information to an organization, I'm going to get better service, then there's a chance that I'm actually going to give away that data, like knowingly give it away, happily give it away, because I know it's going to be really good customer service that I get back, really good product that I get back. So I think that this privacy world is actually elevating us to a world now where the relationship between brands and their customers is actually going to get closer, and the folks that are not interested in that close relationship are people that just want the data, and that's what we're trying to eliminate. So it kind of, I don't know, kind of levels the playing field to a certain extent, where people can do business in a more honest way. I know it sounds very highfalutin and idealistic, but hey, I think we should strive for that, because it can't continue the way it's been going. And this but privacy is just a term that people throw around there. It's really important. So I don't know if that answers the question fully, but they're my thoughts about the future there, Mark.
Yeah, no, that was great. Thank you to you both. We're actually, time has flown, and we're kind of coming towards the end now. So yeah, I just want to kind of wrap things up really. Say thanks to Mike for joining us today from within. I think you're over in New York, but you're always traveling around every time I speak to you. So yeah, are you in New York today? Is that where you kind of stopped for a while?
Yeah, I'm in New York today for now at least, but thank you guys for having me. This was a lot of fun and definitely an interesting topic, always down to talk about.
Good stuff. Yeah, been a pleasure. Thanks to you as well, Pete, and obviously everyone for joining us today as well. Like I said at the beginning, this will be available on demand as well, so if you want to get a copy of the recording, and yeah, we hope you've enjoyed today. And if you've got any other questions, feel free to follow up with myself, Mike, or Pete directly as well, and hopefully we will see you on the next one.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Guys.